What's up, everyone? I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, and we're back again, this time with some PGA DFS picks, lineup advice, both FanDuel and DraftKings for this week's Workday Charity Open up in Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio. And in this video, we're going to look at some top plays, some lineup strategies, roster construction advice, betting markets, projected ownership using our free tools from OccupyFantasy.com, our daily plug, which is our write-up, and our Occupy model, which is our real-time player dashboard that ranks every player on the slate. Before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button below to make sure you're notified when all of our latest videos are released. We have a couple more coming out this week, MMA and League of Legends perhaps, and then again next week with PGA, so you want to get notified when those are released. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. If you have any questions, comment below. But first, I want to hear who you think will win this tournament, or who do you think is the best FanDuel or DraftKings play? Comment below and let us know. And again, if you guys start arguing about it, I get really fired up. I like it, so be sure to let your opinions be heard in the comments. So again, what you see on screen here is our daily plug, OccupyFantasy.com. It is a write-up by Niramata, who is a top 75 PGA DFS player. We're working with him, and he has gladly offered his time to write out his thoughts for each slate over the past few weeks and in the coming weeks as well. And let's start by looking at this course, Muirfield Village, like I said, in Dublin, Ohio. And interesting setup over the next couple of weeks, because this event is being played this week at Muirfield, and then next week the PGA event is also at Muirfield. However, as you read here in our course info section on the Daily Plug, they're actually going to make a couple changes between this week and next. And this week, the tour has stated that they're going to use some of the shorter tee boxes. They're going to cut the rough shorter and have the greens slower than next week. So what does this mean for this week? Well, we can actually give greater attention to some bombers and those questionable on the green just because of the way this setup is. And if we actually scroll all the way down to the general lineup strategy section that that Niramata has written here, he said, if you look last year, the last year's, or I guess 2017 winner, finished 47th for the week in strokes gained putting. Point being, we want approach game specialists here, and if you can't putt, we don't care. This is the week you do not care about putting. So if you've played Colin Morikawa at all over the last few weeks, this should be music to your ears. Because as we've seen him miss a couple 4-foot putts to lose a tournament, we've seen him miss a lot of gimmies on the green. This is the one week where we can target him. Approach play is super important, and he is the best. And he's one of our top plays this week. Both the model agrees, both Niramata agrees. He's written up Morikawa here, and as you see, with approach, strokes gained approach, any type of approach play being one of the most important metrics for this particular course, this particular event this week. I mean, you look at the last year and a half, and Morikawa he leads the tour, first of all, which is impressive for his age. 44 strokes gained in 45 rounds. So basically a stroke per round gained on his approach shots, which is incredible, something we should love to see for this particular course. And again, he had that incredible cut streak, 21, 22 straight cuts to start a career. He finally missed it, no thanks to his putting in his last event. But as Nero points out, this should keep his ownership in check. He shouldn't get completely out of control. Plus, actually take some weight off of his shoulders. For any of you who ever had any type of streak at all for anything, that pressure can build as the streak continues. And then once it's snapped, that weight's off your shoulders and you're back playing pretty loose. So it should be good things here for Morikawa. And if we hop over to our Occupy model, no surprise, we see Morikawa as a top 8 play. Again, for those who don't know, this is our real-time player dashboard, ranks every player based on over 150 different metrics, both FanDuel and DraftKings. Our OF index is our proprietary metric that encapsulates all this data. Morikawa, a hell of a play. Even better, what we've already seen, a 500 cent move in the betting markets. He's dropped from 33 to 1 to 28 to 1 to win the tournament. That's a good thing. All right, so moving on, let's also talk about the plug cover boy, and that is Brooks Koepka. Now, let's see if we can continue this awesome streak. Last week, the model picked the number 1 finisher in the field, the winner, Bryson. And the plug had the number 2 finisher, Matthew Wolff, as the cover boy. So that should mean good things this week for Brooks. As we see here, Brooks should be one of the lowest owned golfers in that 10K plus range on DraftKings, 11K plus range on FanDuel, and we know his talent. And if we also go back to the model here, we also see that a 200-cent move for Brooks in the betting markets, plus 1,600 to plus 1,400, very, very big. Again, as we like to say every week, the number of the money line move or the odds to win move isn't as important as the percentage, because a 200-cent move for Brooks is way different than a 200-cent move for someone who's 60 to 1. So by going from 16 to 1 to 14 to 1, his win probability increases pretty significantly. And one of the biggest things I've loved so far about having Niramata on board and getting to talk to him on a frequent basis, he's taught me a lot about not just the game of golf, but qualitative metrics that go into not just DFS in general, but also PGA DFS. And when we have individual sports where we're not reliant on teammates, there can be a lot of more narratives, mental aspects that go into projecting players and their performances. And a lot of European bettors, we've talked about this in our live Twitch streams, which we will be live tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/OccupyFantasy. That link is in the description below. We'll do a live Q&A. And on our Twitch streams in the past, in fact, earlier this week, we've talked about qualitative data. A lot of European professional golf bettors take a lot of qualitative data into account. Now, that can be dangerous when you're narrative hunting or you're looking for anecdotal evidence. But a lot of these guys have... And if you've read Astro Ball, you know this, but a lot of these guys have taken qualitative data and turned it into quantitative data. If you're paired with a teammate in your tee times or a friend in your tee times, you're playing in your hometown, you can have ones or zeros, yes or no, and track this data and see if it affects outcomes. And there are lots of studies done out there for this type of qualitative data, and all this is coming around to say that there is some qualitative data pointing in Brooks' direction this week because his brother Chase is back on the tour. He qualified for the Travelers. Brooks had to withdraw because of his caddy tested positive for COVID, and Chase, who was going to make his debut, was around Brooks. He had to withdraw out of precaution. Brooks felt super terrible about it. Now they're both back in the field this week. As Niramata points out, he looks at some quotes from Brooks this week, and really means that Brooks should be fully energized and focused for the event this week. Now, me, a data-driven DFS player, when Niramata started talking to me about this kind of stuff, I was initially skeptical. But a lot of the studies he's shown me that when you turn qualitative into quantitative, we can actually use information like this to help drive performances. And we've seen that in the Daily Plug over the last 4 or 5 weeks that Nero's been writing it. And a lot of these narratives have played out. This qualitative data has played out. Because it has been back tested, which is just incredible for me to think about. All right, let's move on. The final thing I do want to discuss here is that generally there's some disagreement between Niramata and the plug because, again, like we just said, there's qualitative aspects. There's more newsworthy aspects as the model is purely data-driven, and Nero is tuned into the golf scene, so he has more information than the model looks at. But this week, there's a ton of alignment. Of the 7 golfers that Nero wrote up in the plug this week, 5 of them are in the top 25 of our Occupy model. And if we look here, he also named a couple more golfers that he likes more than the field. All of these guys rank in the top 25. And Cameron Champ especially, let's go here. He's a guy that Nero likes more than the field. Champ ranks pretty highly, top 25-ish. And what sticks out to me is, scroll down a bit so you can see it, his 1,400-cent move already. Now, we're recording this Wednesday morning, so we'll see how these lines continue to move throughout the day and into the night. But a 1,400-cent move from 80 to 1 to 66 to 1, certainly nothing to shake off. The final thing you'll want to check here, and again, this is Wednesday morning. This comes out Wednesday afternoon. This ultra important blue section in the Daily Plug, the Wednesday updates. Niramata comes in and looks at the biggest betting market moves, the most significant betting market moves at Pinnacle Sports, one of the largest and sharpest offshore sports books in the world. And not only does he discuss who are the biggest line moves, which have been incredibly predictive. I mean, we saw Matthew Wolff finish second last week. He had the highest line move of any golfer last week at Pinnacle. 2 weeks ago, Dustin Johnson was in this update. He won the tournament. That's not surprising. These guys who are finishing high have been in this section. And what is great to me and is great for our readers is that he also contextualizes a lot of the moves too. Siwoo Kim moved the last week 23%. Why would that be the case? He wrote it up. So a lot of times we're able to figure out why the moves are being made, and we're not just being left blindly playing guys because their line moved. So again, this is an ultra important section. The link for the daily plug is in the description below, occupyfantasy.com. Go ahead this afternoon after you watch this video, go check out the blue Wednesday update section in the plug. All right, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate you guys listening. Again, we want to hear who your favorite plays are. Drop a comment below with who you think is going to win the tournament, who you think is going to be the best DraftKings value, FanDuel value, whatever you think. Get your opinion out there and heard in the comments below. Any questions you have about the model, the plug, this event, DFS, you can also comment. Don't forget to subscribe. We got a big MMA video coming up pretty soon. You'll want to get access to that. And of course, any other videos that we release can be accessed immediately in your feed if you subscribe. All right, that'll do it. You can follow me on Twitter at BrianJesterFF. Follow us at Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you soon.